G'day, it's Dave Bryant from Melbourne, Australia, just doing a quick preview of the WingMan HD 1080 video camera with an 8 megapixel still. It's a nice little camera system, valued at about $250 Australian retail. Comes with a lot of little extras. The housing is complete with a video button and a still button. A couple of little accessories that comes in the pack with it. Very similar to the GoPro. There's a charging unit, USB cable, VGA cable for TV playback, and a few other mounts and what have you. And it shoots a micro SD card which fits into a SD card that you can then put into your computer and download your pictures and your video. The footage I've got here is a quick preview of some of the stuff around where we live. Walking our dogs along the track, and then from there we went for a dive a couple of weeks after we shot this footage. This just illustrates how well the camera films, and while we're walking along a track, handling the motion and what have you. It handles the motion fairly well. The still photos were actually quite good in the test that we did of our dogs on the beach. So overall, it's not a bad little camera. But when we took it underwater, that was a different story. As you can see from a couple of these shots, I've placed the camera on the beach in the next frame. My wife is running towards the camera, captures a well exposed image, nice and sharp. And here, just walking through along the beach and what have you, back to the car. It handles the movement and the motion fairly well. You can see a bit of pixelation in the overall shot. That's not near as good as the GoPro. This shot is taken in our car with the camera on our dashboard. It focuses well. The exposure's comparable to the GoPro and some other compact cameras on the market. So that one performed really well as well. And this is our garden in our front yard. Nice close-up, nice depth of field, nice exposure, good colour, good clarity. So basically the above water footage is quite good quality, but when we took it underwater, as you'll see in a moment, we took it down for a pier dive at Rye Pier in Melbourne, where we found some spider crabs, and I've done a comparison I've compared the two video cameras, one being the WingMan HD, and then if you care to look at another short video, you'll see some footage taken with the GoPro. Both were set on 1080p, and I've recorded them and or edited them with a standard or a sort of a similar edit, so that you can compare the two and make up your own mind. The GoPro is about double the cost, but I do think the GoPro is far superior. So here we are down at Rye Pier. It's 20th of May 2012. We heard yesterday that there were spider crabs in their thousands under Rye Pier, so this is a test dive for the WingMan HD, just to see how it can perform. As you can see, a little bit of flicker there in the shot, a little bit of pixelation. That's not great. The movement as we walk along the pier isn't as good as the GoPro. It's a lot more pixelated. And overall, a little bit disappointing when you consider what you can get out of some of these compact cameras. This is when I jump in the water. I've got the GoPro next to the WingMan HD. And here we go. So this is us getting along the bottom, just seeing how the movement of the camera as we move along and pan along. Just seeing how the camera performs with the panning of the system, how it performs with the resolution and pixelation. It seems to handle it fairly well. The only thing is when you do come up to an opaque area of water, it does tend to produce some pixelation and some digital noise, similar to what we get in a still photo. And the still photos I took periodically throughout this dive also produced quite a lot of noise, digital noise, in those opaque blue areas. But overall, it handled it fairly well, as you can see with this footage. This quick shot was taken with a UR Pro, a sort of a pinkish reddish UR Pro filter, just to illustrate how the camera coped with slightly less light. So it did alright. It was a nice sunny day on this day down at Rye Pier. Once again, just moving through the spider crabs, just illustrating how the camera copes with a moving image. So it did a pretty good job overall. When I play this footage back on my full screen 20-inch iMac, it was actually quite pixelated, but in the edit it reproduces quite well. A little bit of pixelation there in the top of the screen, but what you'll see on the internet and on YouTube should be pretty good. All the best. See you soon. Just before I forget, this is a shot I took underwater showing the versatility of the WingMan HD. I'm filming in this shot, so pressing the left hand side button 10 or 15 seconds, and then I take a still photo instantly. And then I can chop and change between video and stills. It's quite a versatile little unit. You can see inside the housing it has zoom control. You do actually have a 3x zoom, but you cannot operate that while it's in the housing. And the camera has to be turned on before you put it in the housing, and then it has a 2-minute shut-off time, so it can go to sleep, and all you have to do is press either the video or the still button, and it will wake up again, and you can go on recording or taking stills. This is a still shot without colour correction. That's the colour corrected version. There's a couple more shots here. This one's me holding a UR Pro filter, a pinkish colour filter for colour correction underwater, and then a little bit of colour correction in Photoshop. And there's a couple more shots here that illustrate the before and after versions of the JPEGs. These were 8 megapixel shots that I've cropped to 6x8 inch at 300 dpi. I wouldn't want to crop them any larger than that. From this camera, there is evidence of a lot of digital noise on these shots, but overall the WingMan HD is a very good quality system.